And hello, have I got some news for you? And we're doing it old school. It is things you might have heard. I am Jay Clifton Payne, and today, 10 stories in the queue from the weekend, vetted conversational stories you told us were cool to talk about. And we're going to see what we can do with the hopefully updated, revived things for the computer. Hopefully, we won't get too laggy, won't get too slow. We can go back to the cool things like the scroll at the bottom on a more normal basis. As I said, I'm Jake Cleveland Payne. I'm your news nerd and a media conserver, a media observer. I'm actually a journalist, and we're going to go through some news stories for you today from the weekend that you said were conversational. We'll explain how that works out in a bit, and we'll give you some fun stuff to include great news, pretty good news about Keanu Reeves because it's his birthday, but not so great news with protests in Israel and hotel workers strike. Those stories, not all that happy, but they're important. We will get to those in just a bit. First, remind you that we have a main website, our home online, if you will, which is this is a conversationproject.com. More information about us, full offerings there as well. And email us anytime you feel like you want to at the conversation inbox at gmail.com. So, as we said, or maybe we haven't said yet, it's Monday, September the 2nd. I'm missing the 2 there in the video, but it is Labor Day here in the United States, and I am sort of traditionally laboring. That's sort of what I do based on being in media, doing some things, some fun things on the day today to make things pop since I have a little extra time, and hopefully you'll enjoy them. Let us know what you see, what you know, and make sure you're subscribing to our broadcast wherever we happen to be. Let's get into the headlines for today, starting off on very somber notes, a whole lot of notes that are all somber for today. Starting off with Israel, which erupts in protests to demand a ceasefire after 6 more hostages die in Gaza. Over the weekend, 6 hostages were found dead in tunnels in Gaza, and the circumstance behind their death is pretty substantial. Number one, 3 of those hostages were apparently in the stages being talked about by name as being released in the next batch of releases coming fairly soon, supposedly, when talks or ceasefires are going to go back together. Number 2, one of the hostages that perished was pretty famous, if you will. American Hirsch Goldberg Poland, who is an American citizen but was in Israel for the music festival going on at the time, was captured during that action on October the 7th. And his parents just spoke at the Democratic convention saying it's time to bring them home. From this, protests have erupted across the nation of Israel. Regular citizens are just kind of about tired of Benjamin Netanyahu and him not actually working for any sort of ceasefire, because if he works for a ceasefire, he loses some power while he's not in war, and maybe they'll actually send him to jail. You may see that, coming here in the States is a certain way of things going on. But this is an issue where, because of the hundreds of hostages that were taken and the hundreds of hostages that are still out there, no actual work towards a ceasefire is being done. So there are a lot of people who are protesting. In fact, something that will tie into story number 2 this morning. Many Israeli government people, the businesses, I should say, are shutting down and striking today, as it is, to basically put the word out that we're going to shut the government down, shut the economy down, if Netanyahu doesn't actually figure out how to shut this thing down, shut this war down, and get these people back. We're going to see how that plays out. Let me give you the names of the 6 people who were found this weekend. Of course, Hirsch Goldberg Poland, Carmel Gat, Eden Yerashami, Alexander Labarov, Amav Sarusi, Master Sergeant Ori Dano. These are 6 lives that were taken easily because, from what we can tell, they were essentially killed a few days before the Israeli forces were able to actually find them into the tunnels and make their way down there. Essentially, it seemed like they were just being there as fodder. And then once the Israelis figured out that, or once the Hamas fighters realized that nothing's going to happen from there, they just killed them and left them be found. This is a terrible situation, and we'll obviously keep going this one as we're coming near the 1-year anniversary. This is September, in about a month, 1 year since these attacks by Hamas. Story number 2 this morning. Headline for that story goes kind of along with the other headline, although the reasons behind them are not quite the same. Thousands of hotel workers launched strike after talks stall with top chains. Top hotel chains, including Hyatt, Hilton, and Marriott, are having issues with workers. Now strikes are happening. Strikes happened essentially yesterday and will continue through the Labor Day weekend. demanding better workers, better wages, and working conditions for the workers at these hotels. Strike affects several locations across the nation, and a broader movement among hospitality workers seeking improved pay and benefits amid rising costs. Essentially, the person who does your housekeeping can't afford to keep up their own house, and so they're trying to get better wages and better conditions for their work. Labor action comes during a busy travel period. Of course, right now, Labor Day, the official wrap up, unofficial wrap up of the summer, and people are trying to get out and get some last minute vacay before work really gets heavy. We're going to see how the effect of this will happen for the locals for the near term right now for Labor Day, and going further throughout the year, whether they continue strikes, whether there are sort of coordinate strikes, or whether they'll come back to the table and actually work on better wages right now. Does anybody remember Serial? Serial was the podcast that essentially launched podcasts. It's just a bit of an over exaggeration, but the true crime podcast, the real time, more or less, interview series and investigative series, Serial, which looked into the murder case that involved the conviction of Adnan Syed, and got him, got him off essentially because they looked at some evidence and said maybe this isn't so great. He's back in jail. The court has reinstated his murder conviction after all this time. The Maryland Supreme Court has done this. The case, of course, like I said, gained widespread attention because of the Serial podcast. The reverse comes as a lower court ruled, and they're going with that one to vacate the conviction. Syed had originally been convicted back in 1999 for the murder of Haylin Lee. The questions around the fairness of his trial led to his release last year. It took a while for the Serial phenomenon, which is, years past, and to actually make its way and to get him released. But now he's back in course and may have to go to another legal battle to maybe get out again or figure out how long he stays in. We're going to have to see how this one plays out. But this is the power of true crime, the power of investigative journalism, and the power of podcasting with Serial. Although most of the podcasts right now are just rehashes. This was a phenomenon that, was amazing. We'll see how it goes going forward. This may be the subject of true crime in the future. We go to South Carolina, where women's basketball player Ashlyn Watkins has been charged with assault and kidnapping. This is a very, very, very strange case, and it's ongoing, so there's not a lot of detail to really talk about. This is going to be glossed over pretty quickly, but we put it out there with a headline for you to engage in. This was one of the top 3 engaging stories for the weekend, for the full weekend. You guys wanted to know more about this. Details right now are limited and sketchy, but Ashlyn Watkins, who's a women's basketball player for South Carolina, in charge with assault and kidnapping after alleged incident. Basically, the attention comes from because South Carolina, big time women's basketball program, of course, they just won a championship. So a lot of people eyeballs on them. And this is one of the players that is expected to eventually be one of the cornerstones in their hopefully repeat on that ends. We'll see what happens. We'll post more information and more updates on the story because you obviously care about this one. This one will play out in the realm of the courts in some case and courts of public opinions all over the world. And unfortunately, sports pages as well. Let's go to Oasis. It's been a while. It's been a long while. It's been a nice long time since Oasis has been together. And that wait may not have to wait as long as we think, but getting there is the problem, as error messages and lengthy online queues greet fans scrambling to secure Oasis reunion tickets. The concerts aren't for months, basically in July or so, so we've got a while for them to implode again. But your chance to grab a ticket to get to one of their concerts hit some serious snags, Ticketmaster level snags, if you will, as fans face very difficult ticket sales for the online anticipated reunion tour. The platforms had long wait times, website crashes, high demand because everybody wanted to get out there. Quickly sold out shows. We're pretty sure bots bought the tickets. And we'll find on the open markets, the secondary markets, a lot of really expensive tickets because the bots probably bought all the tickets. Many fans were frustrated because it's the first time they've been touring in 15 years and they want to get a chance to see the Brothers Gallagher fight on stage again. And we'll see if they can get to see those folks. Tickets were sold. They were sold out. I believe they went to bots. We will see how this one plays out. And if you get a chance to see Oasis in tour in the UK and whether they can actually survive long enough to come back to other nations and right here in the States. Take a moment to pause for a moment and remind you that, we like you. And hopefully you like us. And if you like us, literally like us, hit the like button, hit the emoji face of your choice on whatever platform you're on. If it's X, if it's Twitter, it's a like. If it's on the other platform, Facebook, you can hit whatever thing you want to. You can hit the little hate button on the stories themselves. But as far as our channels, as far as our locations, like us so you see more of our stuff. Share our stuff with other folks so we have better engaged conversations with more folks. And of course, subscribe to the feed of your choice, whether it's an X, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube. Maybe you like the TikTok stuff. Subscribe so you get more of our stuff in your inbox every single day as you produce it. We thank you in advance for doing all these great things. Now, let's go on to story number 6 for this morning. This was an interesting one that got more response than I thought it would. So we're definitely talking about it because it did beat out some other stories that seemed like they were more important or more life-threatening, more earth-shattering. But maybe the issue with men, women not getting married and not having kids is a bigger issue than I thought it was, because we know about how China's dealing with these things, and we know how all other stations doing them. Other Asian nations apparently have the same issue. Here's what Japan is doing, or so much not doing anymore. They're actually suspending their plan to pay Tokyo women up to $600,000 to $600,000, 600,000 yen, I should say, to move to the country and marry a man. This was controversial because it makes people think about old indentured servitude, old time, order brides back in the day. 600,000 yen, which is about $4,100, so maybe it's just a light amount of money, to leave the city and go to the country to marry people in rural areas because they need wives too, and the populations aren't quite catching up. The proposal was criticized for being outdated and reinforcing gender stereotypes, as we said, but they're trying to address declining birth rates and population issues, especially in rural Japan, because right now, if everybody's in the cities, no one's out in the country, and that's where they need to have some population growth. Really, really important, significantly. It wouldn't be a week without some Elon Musk news. And today, big news for X specifically, not so much Musk itself, but it bothers him and it means stuff to him. What's happening? The X platform has been banned, has been stopping operations, no longer working in Brazil. A Brazilian judge has ordered Elon Musk's social media platform X, forcefully known as Twitter, to stop operations in the country. Period. Nothing. Decision comes amid concerns that the platform has been used to spread misinformation and hate speech, which it kind of does. The ruling could have significant impacts for free speech and the use of social media in Brazil, where X has millions of users. Follow-up stories to this says that people who were not X are essentially lost. They don't know what to do. They're not twiddling on their twits anymore, or whatever we call them these days. Not having that outlet to either take in information or give out information has been an issue. Now, for people who sort of use X as a way to broadcast, I do it myself, although apparently our stream this morning is not, it has a big old exclamation point, so X isn't working this morning, is an issue. Because for a lot of people, X, as trashy as it has turned into, is still a big, still force for getting out information to the world. It should not be your main source, but in some places, it's a source that's democratizes information sending. Little guys have a platform at X, whether they get the eyeballs or not. It all depends on how they actually use their actual platform and how they choose to say things. Remember Cornel West? He's running for president, and he has a better chance of winning, although extremely slight, because he, Jill Stein, and Claudia de la Cruz are now on the state ballots in Georgia. That's one ballot where they're definitely there. I don't know who Claudia de la Cruz is. I know who Jill Stein is, and she, of course, is blamed for Hillary Clinton losing, but, of course, didn't have enough to win. And Cornel West, who at this point still has no real chance, and no one really understands why he's running, what he gains from this, other than higher platform. Maybe he's going to leverage this to more speaking fees or a better tenure at some other college. But Cornel West, along with Claudia de la Cruz and Jill Stein, are now officially on the ballot for president in Georgia. Something hard to do. This means that third-party independent candidates have a chance to have their say in at least this state and other states as they're working to get on more ballots. But these are cases where who's exactly voting for these people? That's a very good question. Who's voting for Cornel West? Who's voting for Jill Stein and de la Cruz? Who is she? What she stand for? Who's voting for her? The Payne retirement plan is in full effect as this past weekend, the Mega Millions jackpot soars to $681 million after its 25th drawing with no winner. 25 weeks or 25 drawings since it's basically twice weeks. No winner so far. 681 millions means now's the time for people to get their eyeballs up and say, hey, I can put down $2. A $2 bet will give you a chance to win the jackpot prize, which will be probably 700 million by the end of the next drawing, which should be Wednesday. It's 25 draws, pulls with no winner. We'll see what happens. Now, remember, you'll probably lose. Somebody's going to win eventually, and it's probably not you. But go ahead and put your $2 in because these lotteries go towards scholarships and education. At least they go here. That's what I tell myself. My $2 is going towards someone's scholarship in college, even though it's just being thrown away. As I say often, a scratch-off ticket is a loser's bet. Here, you're still going to lose, but if you win, you probably win big. A scratch-off ticket has its limits. For $2, you have the same chance everybody else. Played a multiplier, and you really feel like a loser because you only win. You get that $2 back doubled for $4. And you pay $1 for it. That's how it works out. But Mega Millions jackpot is up, so you'll see many people start to clamor at the convenience stores and the gas stations and the grocery stores to get that ticket for a chance to win big money. Unfortunately, one person will win. It's probably not none of us. I just don't say it. Finally, let's end this Monday show with love. Love in the air, love abound, love in an American style-ish way. We have another prince, American prince this time. And it's, we don't know if we're going to have the same royal issues we have with the British royals. But Norway's Princess Märtha Louise marries a U.S. man who says he's a sixth-generation shaman, one-of-a-kind wedding that actually combined the majesty of Norway and the oddness of shamanness, if you want to call it that. The princess, a princess of Norway, married Duquette Verret, a self-proclaimed sixth-generation shaman from the U.S. Unique royal wedding because they're royals, so it was royal, and had a lot of stuff that had sort of the hoodoo voodoo attached to it as well. It attracted significant attention due to Verret's unconventional background and spiritual practices. And we don't know how they got together. We just want this thing to last. We want things to happen. We don't want any of the weirdness that, the other royals had with this whole thing, especially since you can tell he's got the melanin going. It's a unique blending ceremony for the actual tradition, and we'll see what happens. So for the most part, it's not like this guy's going to be the king anytime soon. He's nowhere. They're nowhere in line that's going to happen. But we're going to see what tabloids say, what Norwegian tabloids say, and what the world says about the new prince and princess, Dutch and Duchess, how you want to say that, and how Durek will live in his new Norwegian landscape, I guess. Let's move on to our teaser story. Our teaser story is a story that we talk about that we're teasing. We're literally teasing it as a story to talk about come the next day, come tomorrow, come Tuesday. And this story is a simple affair, pretty easy affair. And it's one that I think we're going to have a chance to talk about because it's one that's going to affect the election. Someone's going to say it is, but we'll see what happens. So to be a part of this, you just follow us on our feeds. Follow us on feeds on Facebook and X. I know the thing says Twitter. We got, before the thing started crashing, we didn't fix all the crawls. So follow us on Facebook and X, x.com, twitter.com/th_conversation, and facebook.com/this it's a conversation project. What you find at those places is every 50 minutes, we post news articles like this one for you to engage in. And you can engage in this one because here's a doozy. Trump film The Apprentice finds distributor and will open before the election. This film was just screened at Cannes, I think, and also in the United States at the big one they have in the mountains now. And The Apprentice does not follow the foibles of the celebrities trying to get a job they don't really want. This is the foibles of the actual Donald Trump and a biopic of a sense that shows his life before he became a politician and how he essentially got his money from his dad and was molded, hence the Apprentice name, by Roy Cohen, the lawyer. Roy Cohen made Donald Trump his apprentice, as opposed to Donald Trump having a TV show by Mark Burrell making people his apprentice. that all gets conflicted. But if you want to talk this story up, just simply go to our feeds, and when you see it, it's going to post somewhere. It's probably somewhere in the 6 o'clock hour. So if it's later in the day when you're watching this, you may go back and look for it, or just see it as it comes through in your feeds as they sort of tweet themselves to you. Look for this one and engage in it. Like it, love it, hate it, share it. The more engagement you give to the story, the better chance we have of talking about it in the next iteration, to Tuesday's edition of Things You Might Have Heard. So you want to talk about The Apprentice, being Donald Trump being the apprentice, you just have to talk about it. We are not talking about John Stamos saying that Scientology kicked him out because he was just goofing around at a meeting, which was an interesting story, and it was one that Christine would have came, my beautiful wife, and want to make sure that I saw. We gave it a shot. It did not get the numbers, did not come close as a weekend story to stick around for today. We do want to go to our Spotlight sponsor, and this week we're going to show love to ourselves. Spotlight sponsor is me, and Spotlight sponsor is based on the new book I published last week called Conquer Sales Objections, Conquer Sales Objectives. It's a mouthful that I probably should have thought hard about doing, but hey, it was a good idea at the time. What this book has is 21 specific response questions. I keep reading that wrong. Response questions to counter common sales objections. Reading too fast. So don't read this book too fast. If you're a salesperson looking to up your game, here are 21 question responses to when people ask, why? What about this? Can I get it in blue? That's not an actual question, but people ask, there's really scientifically based words on how to respond to some questions that are pretty typical. They're all essentially the same sort of question. They are sort of, can I get it in blue is basically the features right. So if you want to get better at your sales, if you've never read a sales book, and what really inspired me was this commercial that's on the radio. I listened to it. That says, over 70% of your salespeople have never read a sales book. And so I've done sales. I've read sales books, and I've had to go through these sort of pitches in contents with other salespeople. It's also dedicated to a very good friend who is a very good sales manager and a very just good person in general, who's celebrating a birthday today. So happy birthday, Rich, on that end as well. Call this a birthday present. Call this just me, showing love to someone I love. But check out this book if you need a little help with your sales pitches, or if you're not a salesperson, just a regular person wants to know how to be better in your negotiations and be better in sort of winning people over, selling them on your ideas. Same general prospect, same general idea. Check it out on your Amazon. There's a link in this presentation, whether you're listening to the audio, you're watching a video, or you won't hear my voice or see my face, but you can see it in the newsletter coming up there for the new book. Or go to Amazon and search for Sales Book Pain, or Conquer Sales Objections Pain, or search for J. Clifton Pain, and it's the newest book out there, coming out there right now. My sanity tour, my therapy is essentially writing a new book, or publishing a new book every week, taking those ideas that I have and fleshing them out into something, and to make sure I don't seem like I'm still crazy, or am crazy, or still crazy. But this is the new one. It's going to be an interesting one. We'll see how much it goes. Publishing under the Business Questions Answered Here banner, because I also do business stuff, business life as well. You'll see more promotion for that stuff as well. Very quick time to talk about us, and us is the Conversation Project. All of us. Stop by the Conversation Project website. This is theconversationproject.com, and be a part of the conversation. Be one of the fans. Be one of the news nerds. Be a part of what we have going on. Enjoy, in general, things that are happening. What we are looking for you to do is to stop by the website and check out some of our old stuff. We put archives of all the stories you have in the newsletter form, essentially the newsletters we publish there, plus links to new stuff. We've been doing for the past couple of weeks a article that's been published for National Pickup, a column for newspapers if they exist in whatever form they are. You can see that as well. Also, the weekend shows, the weekly wrap up, we're going to change to the weekend review, I think, coming forward, and other things like that. So check those things out. To help us out, we ask you to stop by our sponsors page and our partnerships page. Consider more of our sponsors. They're all affiliate links that we get a small commission from, and being a partner by partnering up and directly funding what's going on. Today may be a rougher issue, what's going on. We've been used to doing the video recording and putting back for the live replay. We're thinking this is going to work. We're going to watch it back. We think the lag issues with StreamYard have been sort of fixed because they've done some background stuff. If we do, it's back to the pretty stuff. If not, we're going to do it not so live again. So hopefully that happens. If you want to help me buy a new computer to help get less of that stuff, become a partner. stop by our sponsors. Help us out in those ends as well. If you think we're doing good journalism, and this is journalism, it's aggregation, but it's journalism, we need your help. We need your help today. Now, I want to make sure that you understand we've got the work done. We had some fun. Oh, no, we got the work done. We did the news. And now it's time to have some fun. It's been a while doing this, folks. It's time for things you might ought to know for Monday, September the 2nd, 2024. It is a grand occasion. I didn't hit the right button for the actual swipe going forward, but who knows? We'll get it better next time. We'll do this. That's why we do these practice runs. There's no practice needed to celebrate the life, the guy, the nicest guy in Hollywood, who is Keanu Reeves, who, believe it or not, is 60 years old today, which you can believe it, because as I'm turning 50 years old, and he was, about a decade older than I was doing Bill and Ted, it's amazing. But these folks are national treasures. How old we all are getting, unless you're a millennial, Gen Z, or Gen Alpha, where he's like, how's that guy really that old? That guy is really that old. Also really that old, Salma Hayek, who's 58 years old. Still beautiful, still knocking it out of the park, and she's making sure that we all know that we can keep doing it. Cat Williams, the baby of the bunch for the day, is 53 years old. He looks like he's like 60 years old. He looks like he's older than he is, but he's only barely 50. So we have that. This lovely birthday trio today, Reeves, Hayek, and Williams, celebrating their birthday on what just ironically a Labor Day, because it just so fell on that, but September 2nd here on this day. Let's go to our next big batch, which is, of course, our history lesson. Things that happened on this day, going back to 1944, where Navy pilot George H.W. Bush was shot down by Japanese forces as he completed a bombing run over the Bonin Islands. The future president was rescued by a U.S. submarine, was not captured, so I guess Trump can like the guy, but he did go down. Plane went down in the water while fighting in the actual war. In 1963, the evening news, CBS Evening News, went from 15 minutes to 30 minutes. This is a significant move for television and for just broadcasting in general. And although television is still basically ruled by the quarter hour, especially radio, things done in 15-minute segments, this was a time where they went from 15 minutes of news to a full half hour. The half-hour news show that you're used to now, even though most people don't watch them, oddly enough, was born on this day in 1963. And in 1992, the United States and Russia agreed to build a space station, the International Space Station, that big old thing floating in the air, which they share time with going forward. And despite ongoing tensions and the fact that I think Putin's kind of been in the wings since around 92, basically being sort of there, for whatever reason, the space parts gets done. Let's move on to a word for the day. Today's word is halcyon. Halcyon is a word that means idyllically calm or peaceful, the halcyon days, if you will, suggesting happy tranquility. Used in a sentence, reflecting on halcyon days of her childhood, she remembered the endless carefree summer spent by the lake. That's nice. That's quaint. Halcyon, word for the day. Go to our website, the Big Words Project, that website, to find more big words every single day. And consider buying a copy of the book, Big Words You Ought to Know. Proceeds of that book goes to local reading programs here in Arkansas. It is September, so it's time for me to tally up last month's wages and put in that percentage going to Arkansas Reads for this month, September. That's going to happen in a couple days as we get some more money straight going forward. So if you want to contribute more, and basically if this thing goes bigger, we'll go to larger reading programs. Buy one of those books. $1 from each book goes to a program for reading for kids. Daily affirmations. Today's daily affirmation: I am capable of overcoming any challenge life throws at me. This affirmation enhances self-efficacy. This affirmation reinforces your belief in your own abilities, significantly boosting self-efficacy. When you believe in your capacity to overcome obstacles, when you believe, you're more likely to undertake the challenges and tasks to persist in those difficulties. I.e., if you think you can get through it, you'll probably do the work you can to get through it. You will do what you can to push through, soldier on going forward. Use this one today, and if you need some other ones, my book, 100 Daily Affirmations for Positivity and Confidence. Apparently, I went through all 100 affirmations, so we're back to the start, refreshing the start from the book. Find them all and remix them as you need to at Amazon. Click the link in this presentation or search Pain Affirmations on Amazon and 100, and you'll find us there. And now, the irony of today is I don't think I'll actually do this. I don't think we have grits at the house. Today is grits for breakfast day. And it's also still September the 2nd, not the 30th. I missed the slide there. A lot of miscombobulations trying to get back on this platform, willing to see whether it works or not. So I have grits for breakfast basically every single weekday when I go to work because our chef at the cafeteria does grits and eggs. And I like them grits, put eggs on top and a little scoop of potatoes on the side. Some days I'm in for biscuit, some days not the biscuit. Some days it's bacon, some days it's sausage. Today, I don't think they have grits at the house, so grits may not happen. I may go to the store and get some. But just because summer is over doesn't mean it's not too hot for grits. I've totally butchered that read. It's a delight for Epicurean enthusiasts. That means foodies everywhere. And it gets a bad rep sometimes because people will say grits are tasteless, grits are boring, grits are bland. And then there's people who will, put sugar on grits because, you know, they live in a house that's haunted like the Deliverance or something. But National Grits Breakfast Day is a day for you to celebrate grits any way you want to and any way you want to. Have some fun with your grits. Enjoy them with eggs. Enjoy them with bacon. Put a little sweet stuff in it, but don't be too sweet with it. I mean, just make it simple. I have eggs, lots of pepper, and some little bit of salt, and then, like I said, usually some meat on the side, and it is delicious on my end. Your mileage may vary. May also vary about wanting to have grits for breakfast or celebrate this day. So you can celebrate Labor Day, which we're all in the States observing, even if you're not celebrating. Labor Day is known as the unofficial end of the summer. It's essentially wrapping up times where basically schools is basically beating in gear. People are getting out of their summer sort of ways and moving into what should be the start of a fall and getting focused on things like that. It's also World Coconut Day. Christina Wickade, not a fan of coconuts, so I don't think she's celebrating that one, but we might find a zinger or something wrapped in coconut someplace throughout this day. Also throughout this day, which is actually September the 2nd, we're going to have some fun. We're observing in a sense of Labor Day where we're not going to the office, but I got office work to do because I sort of dilly-dallied a bit for the end of the week. So hopefully you're enjoying your time off. If you're a cooker or barbecue, or get that last bit of grilling in for the summer season, because we're going to happen to that one. Still don't have a grill yet, so we're going to bake something barbecued of some sort. It'll work. It's legal. It'll be edible. It's good. All that's going on. So enjoy your Monday. Enjoy your Labor Day. If you're international and don't understand what Labor Day is, then look it up. You get more details on what's going on, and just enjoy yourself. We wrapped up the news part, which are things you might not have heard. We wrapped up the fun part, which is, of course, things you might want to know. And we're prepping for more stuff. So we're prepping all day long. We're working. We're laboring for you behind the scenes of the Conversation Project. Follow our feeds on Facebook and X, and you can enjoy the news out there and tell us what news to talk about come tomorrow. Consider being a partner. Consider stop by our sponsors. And, of course, make sure you do the stuff that's most important, the feeds, and email us at the conversation inbox gmail.com for any sort of comment you want to. Remember that life is great, even if life doesn't feel like it's going all that great right now. So keep that in mind, an affirmation you always have. Thank you so much for putting up with this thing as it is. Love you. Mean it. We're not sure. We're going to have to go back and do an air check, rewatch this thing here to see if it's lagging, if there's some audio issues, because there's been some issues with the streaming system. But we love anybody who may have popped up into the live where I can actually see comments going live, so I can't actually comment with you. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your day. Enjoy a lot of stuff. We'll see you again tomorrow.